Hi, and welcome to Mom Boss Chronicles. We are your hosts. I am Jen.
I'm Sue.
And we are empowering and inspiring people through meaningful conversations. So make sure to like and subscribe to listen to great content weekly.
Welcome back to Mom Boss Chronicles. We have Meredith Avakian here from Project Right Now. We're so excited to have you here. I'm also like kindred soul because I'm a corporate dropout too. And I feel you.
Yeah.
It's a scary opportunity, but, we were kind of just chatting about how making that transition to your passion, pulls everything together, and it's not always about money. But fill us in. So you were with the Philadelphia bar, right? Yeah. So what did you do there?
So I was the director of communications and marketing.
Okay.
I spent 5 years in that role. We did all of the print, electronic, any internal, external communications essentially coming out of the association.
So a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
A lot of hours.
And big visibility
Yeah.
as well. So all eyes on you and your department at all times.
For sure. And I worked in legal marketing for 15 years
Yes,
for
that's
corporate
right.
law firms. So I completely sympathize and fully understand the pressure, the everything.
The time commitment. Is it a big time commitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, something happens. It doesn't matter if, what the hour is. If it comes to immediate emergency.
You're there. Yeah.
2 a.m., whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Christmas Day, right? Yeah.
So what inspired you to make the move from leaving, the secure salary and, benefits and everything to going off to being a nonprofit and like following your dreams?
Well, essentially, my daughter.
Yeah.
I unexpectedly got pregnant the same month that I got divorced.
Oh, my God. Talk about life throwing curveballs at you, right?
Yes. So
like
that
wild.
was a lot to process at once. And ultimately, my life was no longer just about me and what was best for me.
Yeah.
And my priorities changed.
Right.
So that's ultimately
Motherhood.
Yes.
Right? Then it put everything in perspective.
Yes.
You're like, what am I doing?
It's interesting, right? And like in that moment, like when you find out you're pregnant, like it's like
your
like
brain.
Everything shifts. Like the whole universe shifts, and it's like, okay, it's not about me anymore. And I have a whole nother human being that I'm going to be responsible for. And like, I wanted to say though, like, I appreciate that. And while 90% of mothers are there are some people out there who are like, oh, may not think like that. Right. And they're like, oh, I'm having a kid and just like wing it, but I love that you were like, this is it. This is what I'm going to focus on, making sure this kid has the best upbringing in life and everything.
And the best of you. Because if you were still in your previous job, do you feel like you wouldn't be able to show up as a mom the way you wanted to?
There's no way.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
No
so
way.
your daughter gets the best version of you.
100%. I mean, that's my intention
Yes.
every day. I don't know if it's there.
Yeah, we try.
I mean, it's not always perfect, but like, imagine it being the other way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew I wanted to nurse her, for example. Like I knew there were certain things that I wanted.
You wanted the bond. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we only got 2 weeks of maternity. So even the
What?
men,
Oh my gosh.
even the
That's
men
it?
who worked for me were allowed the same amount of time.
2 weeks.
I'm like, but you didn't even physically carry a child.
Oh my God.
That is
Criminal. Literally, right?
I was the first director in their history since 1802 to be pregnant on the job. There were other moms there, but they were not in the director
Yeah. So talk about
roles.
being in a man's world. Like you were literally in a
Yes.
man's.
And then prior to the 5 years there, I was in the corporate world down in Wilmington, and that was even more so. It was issues in crisis communications for chemical plants.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that was really more of the 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Thankfully,
Right.
I didn't have as much of that at the Bar Association.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still no grace for life.
Oh, I love the quote of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean,
My life was not mine.
Yeah,
That's
what-
how it felt. Like anything that I wanted to do always came second.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that I didn't even think about, like right now I journal every day, every morning from 8 to 9 a.m. is like my private writing time, Monday through Friday. I mean, I do it actually 7 days. It's been 7 days a week since September.
Oh gosh, that's amazing.
So it's my new goal. And I'm like, why didn't I do this before?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I take a yoga class before work or like get up just a few minutes early to juice some organic fruits and veggies?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I pour into myself in that way? And it's taken a while, even in my
To adjust,
motherhood.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
To
Well, it
get
takes
here.
time to, I think, unwind from that
Yes.
life.
It's literal deprogramming.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm literally rewiring my brain.
Yep.
And it's also realizing, like, why was I in a job and a career that wasn't aligned with my soul's purpose, you know, but it's always, I was 22, making good money right out of college.
I think that's just
this is what we were
right?
groomed and conditioned to do. Like college was not really an option in my family. It was
given.
Yes.
I know. Same. And like, I don't even know what I wanted to study. Like,
I didn't either. I was halfway through college. I'm getting letters. I went to Temple University. They're sending me letters like, okay, like you're halfway through. You have to declare now. And it wasn't until halfway through somebody said, have you ever considered PR? I'm like, PR, like public relations. And I'm like, no. So I looked it up. There was a lot of writing and a lot of journalism classes. Right. And I'm like, well, I've always been a writer. Like this I could vibe with this.
Yeah.
And then like the next day I switched out of the college.
Let's just suck
and
you
then
in.
went all the way, like I went from not knowing what I wanted to do to then being president of the school's public relations society, and then president of the Philadelphia
You took
Public
it serious.
Relations
That's
Association,
awesome.
on the board 13 years.
Wow.
So even my time outside of my career, all of my like spare time or free time, other than doing my poetry, which is like my first love, it was also being on the boards and serving in these other professional capacities.
Wow.
Chairing
awesome.
the Armenian Young Professionals. Like I have, if you look at my resume, it's like, holy crap, like when did you have fun? But that's what I did for fun. Like that's...
You love to be involved.
Fun for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's being authentic.
Right.
Like to you.
Yes.
Like that's what you want. I love that. That's so cool.
And now as a mom, it's, you know, it looks a little...
Different.
So
how long has it been since you've left corporate?
So it's been seven years.
Wow. And I'm sure. So it was the beginning scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
Like, it's one of those things where I'm sure when people make those decisions, you'll never know 100% if that's the right one, right? Like, when you were transitioning, where you're like, I hope this is the right decision, right? Like,
well, I'm a woman of faith. So I knew it, they call it a leap of faith for a reason, you know, because it's like there has to be a safety net. I don't have a safety net, but I did have the foresight to save up enough that I was able to take a whole year off without having to work.
so beautiful.
So that is a big difference. That's like
be
a
a
major,
mom and adjust to that
yes.
life. Yeah.
And because I also, I'm like an all or nothing type of person. So I also moved at the same time.
Yeah. Why not,
I
right?
left in 1 year, and it's funny, my midwives joke and say that I had more life changes than any other patient. Every month it was like, I have a new address, like I'm moving, I have a new insurance. I don't have insurance. Oh, my last name changed, by the way. I take off that hyphenated. Yes.
Right.
And all of them, they were just like, holy crap. And during that same time, I was going to say I lost my mom. I didn't lose, she is deceased, but my family lost her legally at the same time that all this went down.
Going to be a mom.
At the same time that my daughter lost her father legally, at the same exact month. It was this month, 7 years ago.
Oh my God, that's
why
just
it's
heartbreaking,
so poetic,
right? Like,
yes.
Was that like one of the lowest?
Trauma. Yes, it took a long time to work back from. So thank God I took the year off, because I don't think I would have had the mental capacity to have done either role, let alone simultaneously.
Right.
Like,
That's a lot that the world threw at you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been more. It's been compound. I feel like it's been a 7 year. Every year in my daughter's life, she's lost somebody close to us. My mom, my grandma, my grandpa, our cat. Like literally, she's been in 9 funerals in the last 7 years.
Gosh.
Which I don't think I went to my first one until I was 12.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't lose
I think 16.
anyone.
Like,
And my real first heartbreak was when my grandpa passed when I was in college at 20. But otherwise, I don't know. I think it's supposed to be that way. Like I trust in that. Because
the universe, I don't know, has it figured out. We can't rationalize or articulate why at times, you know. But you have to like surrender to that.
Yes.
For sure.
And you have to learn how to
surrender.
roll with it. Like you had to just keep going.
Yes.
Right? There was no other. You had to keep going.
I do this thing called my firsts, and I call it like my journey of firsts. So it started 9 years ago, but I've been doing something new every day.
Oh, I love
So
that.
this is my first of the day, which is why I was like, yes, I need first.
Yes, to a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that has helped me get through all of this.
The changes. Yeah.
It also helped me look at the world through a different lens. Like I had a personal injury. I ended up getting a blood clot. Was in the emergency room. And I'm like, well, this is my first MRI. This is my first ultrasound. This is my first.
Yep.
And it just kind of...
You reframed the way it all went.
Yes.
I love that.
Yep.
So even like the shitty times, you know, what did you learn from it? What did you get out of it?
Yeah.
Was it shitty for a reason? Did you not go to this place because you weren't supposed to be there because something even shittier could have happened?
Oh my God, so true.
Know?
I know.
Like you're stuck in traffic. You're like, oh man, it's like, well, maybe you could have been that car.
Exactly.
You know?
I try to think about that all the time, like running late or you missed something or whatever.
Or an opportunity didn't come through the way you wanted to. Maybe it wasn't meant to.
People that were late going to work on 9/11.
Yes.
I think about that, you know,
Yeah.
like, shit.
Yep.
Wild.
And there were people
They're probably
who...
annoyed I missed the train, you know.
Yeah.
And look.
Yeah. It's a great way to like look at life, you know. We do have to have that mindset, because life is hard.
So hard.
There's always shit happening.
And there's going to
right?
be things thrown at you.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like it's happening at you, but it's really happening for you.
Oh,
It's figuring out
1,000%.
why that is.
Yep.
You know, so for some reason your daughter's experiencing all this adversity at such an early age, but who knows, perhaps it's preparing her for some sort of incredible leadership role, or change the world, or help you know, people.
Resilience and something.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is so incredible. So it's been 7 years. Obviously, you don't look back in the corporate world and miss it, or
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I shouldn't say that. Every once in a while, I'm still there in my dreams.
Oh,
so a couple
isn't that
weeks
funny?
ago, I was on the 11th floor of Market, a little bit.
Not funny.
11th floor of Market Street. So it was funny. I went from the 11th floor of Market Street in Wilmington, Delaware, to the 11th floor of Market Street in Philadelphia.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
crazy.
that's funny.
Both DuPont and Philadelphia Bar, founded in 1802.
Yeah.
Like there's so much
That's so
Numerology.
interesting.
like,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
much that rearrange those numbers. You get 2018, the year my daughter was born.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
You arrange them 10/28, my
That's
brother's
the year my son's
birthday.
born, too.
Beautiful year.
Yes.
And
Wow.
yeah, so all this like trusting it was all,
Like meant to be. Yeah.
but I do miss some aspects of the security. Like the money was great. Like
Yeah.
I know they sent me to Brazil for a week. I was
Right.
flying on private jets. I was like, I did live
That's amazing.
a
Different life.
Yes.
Yes.
Like it was the first time I felt that level of comfort. That's when I knocked out my 2 books of poetry, because I wasn't in survival mode. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, I got this. I'm pretty good at what I do. I feel like pretty good at this.
Yeah.
I'm only going to build up from here. But at some point in both of those situations, I felt like I outgrew it, and felt like this is not aligned with my soul's purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like
You listen to that voice inside.
yes.
Yeah.
And that was the scary thing, because I'm just like, how did you become the person who's defending chemical plants? Like, you're all organic, you're non-toxic.
Isn't that
Like,
wild? Yeah.
But it's also like, you know, learning the things you learn in roles like that to help you make decisions. Like, okay, you know this, you have this information now.
Yep.
What are you going to do with it? Are you going to live differently, or are you just going to keep
Going.
going? And a lot of people are just like, they just keep going.
And I know, and not feel fulfilled.
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Right.
They're like, it's what I'm supposed to do. I mean, another epiphany I had was I was living for my deceased grandfather, the one I said who was 20. I was 20 when he passed, and that's really like, he was always my hero.
Aw.
And he also was the reason I was able to go to college. Like, he had the foresight that my parents weren't going to be able to really help in that area. So he was like, oh, no. Like, I was only granddaughter. He never had daughters. So we were naturally like very
Right.
close.
That's awesome.
And yeah, there's signs that he's always
Yeah.
still-
Guiding you.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. That's
For
so
sure.
amazing.
When, at what age did you start pursuing poetry and writing, and what inspired that?
as far back as I can recall
Yeah.
in my childhood. So I feel like I was probably 9 or 10 when I really started writing songs. It
Okay.
started with me wanting to be a singer
Yeah.
and songwriter.
That's so
Okay.
cool.
Both of my parents, professional musicians
Oh, wow.
and vocalists. My
Yeah.
mom was a school music teacher.
Okay.
My dad sang and played the trombone. My mom was actually a choir director here,
What?
an organist in Red Bank.
Oh my gosh.
And so I had a lot of that, and their parents also. So my daughter's named Melody because I'm from a very musical family. I said if I ever had another girl, she would be Harmony.
Oh my gosh, so cool.
So, and people are like, what if it was a boy? I'm like, maybe Rhythm. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Cool.
But I think it started as songs, and then it turned more into raps.
I love that.
So I was very into Wu-Tang,
Yeah.
very into
So
90s
cool.
hip-hop.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So
that
was
shows
I.
up a
Yeah.
lot in
That's so
like
cool.
my style. But I've also had people be like, well, that's not poetry, or that's raps, or that's this, or that.
That is poetry.
And
I know.
And then-
people like to judge.
yes,
Yeah.
and it took a toll, I feel like, on my writing here and there throughout my career. But it wasn't until I went to Philly, when I went to Temple University and started learning about open mics, because
Yeah.
there wasn't much in
This
I grew
area.
up here. I grew up
I
in
know.
Musqueam, so
I
there
can
really
imagine.
wasn't growing up.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's part of why I love what I do now, because I'm like, this would have changed my entire trajectory if somebody had told me
At that age.
little Meredith at that age,
Yeah.
you're a writer. I never had anybody tell me you're a writer.
Right.
Oh.
So that's why I went to college. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. PR
You
sounds
know?
good. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And yes, I'm good at PR, but at the core of that, I'm a writer. I'm a good PR person because I'm a good writer.
Yes.
But it's mixing the different skills and all. But it was always me ghostwriting for other people. I'd write the speeches for executives. I'd write their talking points.
Right.
And it came natural. That probably came to you. You're like, oh, I got this.
And I'm like, once you get to know somebody and their voice and get to, because it was not coming from me, right? So I had to sound
from their perspective.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And even their, like, everybody has catchphrases or little things. Nuances. So I throw those.
That's what makes you a good writer. That's awesome.
And then finally I'm like, whoa, what do I have to show? Like, I have my books of poetry, but people don't really know I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Because it's everybody else's name. I would write it and then their name would be on.
Yeah,
it's their column, but they don't know that I'm the one doing all this. So I had a few opportunities when I was at the Bar Association to write for the magazine, and they were very meaningful, heartfelt pieces. And it was the first time it was like, wow, like, look at my name in the byline for a 6-page spread in the magazine. Like, that's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
And that feeling, same thing when I speak in times like this, it makes me feel alive. It's really what lights me up. And I know a lot of people are very terrified of it, which is, I think, all the more reason to lean into it.
To do it.
I know.
Yeah,
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then after you left in that year, were you like, now what? Like, did you know writing was what you wanted to pursue? Like,
at what
after
point?
After corporate, that year that you took that year break? And
it was actually during, so I did a lot with my poetry in college.
Yeah.
Like a whole lot. And then
you did the open mics and
all the open mics.
And did you love that?
I loved it. Even when I was president of the PR Society, I was hosting open mics.
So you were making connections, right?
All of that.
That's amazing.
And I had a poetry as performance class my senior year, which actually fell under theater, not English. So it was less about the actual style, like the grammatical aspect of the writing, but more about like memorizing it and performing it. So our final project, we put on a play, and we all did our unique poems. We all had to have them memorized, but we acted them out.
Oh my God, so cool.
And we had to write our own manuscript, and half of that manuscript turned into a chapter in my first book of poetry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it was after I felt like secure enough in the corporate world. I'm like, okay, I've been doing this a couple years. I got all this poetry, and I felt a little like bored. So then I put out my first book of poetry then in 2008.
To the world, right?
To the world.
What is that vulnerable feeling? You're like, okay, world, here's my writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt like more so with the second one, because the first one I wasn't anticipating as much. And then you hear judgments or, like I remember one time somebody said, it was an older Armenian woman. I was at an Armenian church doing a book signing. And then when she saw some 4-letter words in the book, she was just like, young Armenian ladies shouldn't be using language like this.
So you felt judged. You're like, what?
Yes. And that was like, whoa, I'd never dealt with judgment in my poetry, I guess, in that regard. Yeah. So I'm like, I had already written most of my second book by then. But I feel like after publishing my second one, that held me back a little bit because of being in the corporate world. Now all these people are going to see it. All it takes is
they know your name. I know. And it's so sad because that, like, you could be multifaceted. Yes, I could still show up as a really awesome PR person and take care of your business, but I could also write this poetry in the language I want to and express myself and still be amazing at other things. Like, it's just...
So I love that you bring that up, because that became a fork in the road for me in a sense, because I was asked to take down my website, take down my poetry
when you
page.
were in corporate. So you're in and there.
So, you don't want an outspoken spokesperson. I'm representing the big corporation. I have to get along with everybody, right? Democrats, Republicans, like I have to get along with everybody.
So they don't want to know that you have an opinion.
You can't, you're not allowed to
have
an
outspoken spokesperson.
Right.
So if I have a political poem and, like all of things like that.
They're silenced you.
So I understand that, but it did feel like nobody puts baby in the corner. Like it very much felt like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I let that take the back burner for a while, and then my work responsibilities kept increasing, so that was a thing. And
so you just pushed it aside. You're like, I'm just going to.
And then I'm like, oh well, I'm president of this now, and I'm chair of this, and I'm gonna I'll focus on these other things. But it was always there. And the thing that people weren't seeing, because I was with my husband for 13 years throughout this time. He was my college sweetheart, but our marriage was like deteriorating during the time of all this. The better I got, the more I climbed, the more successful, the more awards, the more money, the more whatever. It was like
your relationship suffered.
Yes.
Oh, that's rough.
Plus, yeah.
Yes.
It's tough. You were married to your college sweetheart too.
It's hard.
You guys
Either
have evolved together,
but
I guess too. You grow up. You're a different person. Right. Yeah.
And what a conundrum, right? It's like I'm progressing, my marriage isn't. Like, ugh, that must have been so hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was another, like, okay, what are the things that really mattered to me? So as a result of my first, I ended up meeting a woman who I won a free like consultation with as a divorce coach. I wasn't divorced then, but I'm like, oh, funny, I should win the raffle with you. Like out of all the women in the room, right?
Right.
Like how many of us are?
Wow, that is wild.
And so she, we met in my neighborhood when I was still living in Philly. She came out to Fishtown, and we went out to eat. And she started the meal with. So do I. That's where my daughter was conceived.
Oh, that's Fishtown's so cool.
And she started the conversation by asking my 3 biggest fears. And, like that's not a question you're asked every day. And I remember saying, I'm scared of getting divorced.
Oh.
I'm scared of losing my security
of my job, right?
and health insurance. And I'm terrified of becoming a mom.
Oh my God.
But they were all things that I wanted, right? I wanted to become a mom. I wanted to not be in a marriage that wasn't serving me. And I also wanted to leave a toxic work environment.
So your fears were the things you wanted, but you were obviously afraid for that change.
It's all scary.
Yeah.
All scary.
So we're still connected and still in touch. And when I end up having my own podcast one day, I'd love to have her on and be like, remember when you sat down? Like, look where we are.
Absolutely.
And it was all of those, like if I didn't say yes to the first of doing the polar bear plunge and didn't say yes to meeting with this person and going to like a polka dot lunch or whatever.
Isn't that funny how like a series of events brings you to a result?
And I feel like saying yes to here today, like I'm so excited to be like, I don't know what's going to come of it, but I know
it feels right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the way I feel like the world needs to operate for people. Like you just have to feel things, and if it doesn't feel right, you have to know when to walk away.
Yes.
If it feels right, you have to learn how to walk with fear.
Yes.
Like you just have to listen to your voice.
Yeah.
And during that time when I was in Philly, when all this stuff was going down, I got a fortune cookie, and the fortune said, "Trust in your intuition, and you will get through this." And I liked it so much, I actually took a picture of it and printed the picture and put it on my fridge.
You needed it.
And where it remains to this day, as even though I'm like 3 homes removed from there now, but to see the difference, and like that's what I needed at the time. Because when you are in that world or those worlds, like legal marketing, and it's very intense and focused, there's not a lot of room or welcoming of tuning in to trust your intuition. I'd say in a lot of environments.
Totally. You don't question it.
Yes.
Right.
There's no questioning it. You just go.
And it's like, who or what is your compass?
Yeah.
And like, if you hear that, like today, it was like, yes, show up. Like there was not a doubt in my mind. Like, yes, just go. Like, and learn to like follow the energy. And lean into that.
Yeah. I feel like since I left corporate, I have much more confidence in my abilities to do whatever. And the ability to jump, because the net will appear.
I know.
You have to trust that.
It builds your confidence, right? Like it's scary. But now hey, I did that. What else can I conquer? I can conquer it.
I don't know. I also feel like if you're a mom, like there's nothing you can't fucking do.
Yeah.
Like if,
so true.
Right. Like you think I'm scared. Like, I'm
raising a child.
Right? Yeah. So
that's awesome. So after all that, the writing, you found your way back to it.
Yes. So it was also through my firsts. And I decided one day to show up to an event called Write Out Loud that was at Asbury Book Cooperative. So I had been on the mailing list of Project Right Now since 2018.
Oh, my gosh.
And which is funny. I feel like I signed up when I was still in Philly. I don't even...
Somehow you got like in a funny love.
Yes. And I...
one day you felt compelled to go?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel compelled. I'm going to go.
And it was like 2022, and that I had it marked in my calendar as the first. I'm going to go to the Write Out Loud event. And I showed up with my daughter, and I'm always like on time, always like 5 minutes early, but I was like 5 minutes late this time because we were not going to go. We were and we're going to go this way, and I'm like no, and it was almost like, how much do you really want it?
It's like, I want to be there. Yes.
And so I walk in, they were just getting started, everybody kind of turns and looks at us, and it's like the lady with the kid, and they were like, oh, well, we're doing it. I'm like, I know, Like, I guess they thought I was bringing
like
her.
the wrong.
Yes,
yeah,
it was,
wrong
it was like
room.
a scene from a movie, and they're like, "Oh, do you need a journal and pen?" I'm like, "No, I'm prepared."
Yeah.
They're like, "Okay." So they had this like spinny wheel thing. You're spinning for prompts. They invited my daughter to come up and spin. I'm like, "Okay, right." So I'm like,
amazing.
"All right, like that's a good sign."
Yeah.
And I didn't hear the beginning. I just knew that we were writing off the prompts. So I wrote the prompts down, and I'm the type of person who uses like all of the prompts. I find it like to be a fun word challenge.
Yeah.
Apparently, you didn't even have to write using any of them. You could have just been inspired by it.
Right.
So at the end, they say, "Who wants to go up?" And I volunteered to go first. And they're like, the mom with the little kid, like,
Just got here.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And so I get up and I read my thing, and they were all like, "Holy shit." And I was kind of taken back by
the reception.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, oh, and they were like, "Who is this?" So actually at the end of the event, the executive director talked to me, was like, "I think I have an opportunity for you."
Oh,
See, you were meant to go that night.
She's like, we do this spoken word project at Asbury Park High School, and I think you would be a good fit for it. And I remember thinking, like, could they just not find anybody? Like, that was, honestly, like, I was like, what? But she had that, she leads from her heart in a place of intuition. So as soon as she saw me, she's like, that's the person.
you.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was supposed to be me, and I've been doing it for 3 years now.
And
that one project turned into me saying yes to do work with Boys and Girls Club, with Big Brothers Big Sisters, with any community work that they wanted to. Ended up bringing me in as an instructor, creating a part-time position, and then just this February 1st became full-time as Director of Community Outreach and Engagement. So they created
incredible.
the position
That
for
is
me
amazing.
based off of
all the incredible work you're doing.
So it feels like amazing to
Yes.
be, and then to be able to bring my daughter, like she's with me for a lot of these writing workshops.
Oh, we met your daughter. I know.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
right. Yep.
Sue and I were at a writing event, and that's how we met you. You came in and to support with your daughter, and it was so cool. Yeah, your daughter's amazing.
Thank you.
I love how you just include her. She's just
Well, yeah,
just-
right? Like that's
It's just
my
just
son
us.
comes along with stuff too, and like it's like you're part of the ride, kiddo.
Yeah.
I told her, so on April 27th, we're doing Poetry and Plants at Kula Urban Farm.
Oh, that's awesome.
In
Where's
Asbury
that?
Park.
Okay.
Two are invited.
Yeah.
Welcome to come. It's a free event. We
that's
do it 3 to 5 p.m. and it's my birthday weekend.
my God.
So we're making
Get
it like
out.
a
Are you
celebration.
Taurus?
check it out.
Triple
Me
Taurus.
too.
Okay.
Yes, on May 2nd.
All right. My daughter's birthday is April 29th.
Okay.
So she's also a bull, born on the
Okay.
pink full moon. And my due date was May 4th.
Okay.
So my whole pregnancy, people said, "May the 4th be with you."
Oh, that's so
funny.
So, and yes, I love our
Yeah.
Our bowls.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So I asked Mel, my daughter, if she would get on the mic and do something
Okay.
as a birthday gift.
Yes.
Because
And what'd she say?
So she said yes.
Oh my God.
I said, look, you can do a poem, you can freestyle, you can sing, you can read a book, you can just say a few words.
Yeah.
I just would love you to express yourself however you see fit. So now the wheels are turning, and
Yeah.
she's thinking about.
I love it because
what
you're
to do.
teaching her to
I
step
love
out of her
that.
comfort zone already.
Yeah.
And like you said, even in a small way.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be big, just a little something
Yeah,
small.
it's leading by example.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, all of that. Like, yeah, and she's gonna step outside of her little comfort zone. That's so cute.
She usually, like, because if I'm a featured poet somewhere, she would come up on stage with me and just
Yeah.
kind of like
Aw.
cling to me.
Yeah.
Like I'd have somebody with her, and I'd have like people there in the back of the room, like I'll chill with her, and she's like, "No, I want
I
you."
want to be next to my mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, that's also getting her used to being on stage.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, fine, you want to stand here, you're going to
Yeah.
see the audience and
Yeah.
see how I talk, and you're going to do this. Yeah.
And then I realized, like, wow, I'm so comfortable being on the mic and being on stage because I grew up with seeing my parents.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right. Because
Right?
your
Yep.
parents were musicians.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy? You don't even realize the things you're passing to your
Yep.
children, how they watch you. They
Yes.
watch you.
Oh yeah.
Yep, for better or worse. And
Right?
I feel like
Like-
that's one where I'm like, wow, I did grow up on the stage. I mean, I also grew up singing and playing instruments and had that influence as well.
Yeah.
And it does make a difference. And
Yeah.
I guess I didn't even realize until I was older, seeing like, oh, this is not like normal.
Like normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other
yeah.
A lot of people
Right.
are not comfortable.
Yes.
Like that is their biggest
Yeah.
fear. And yeah, thinking back to that list of fears, I'm like, this has never been
Not one of them, but it's on plenty of people's list. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's part of why I did well for myself in my career is
Yes.
because it wasn't a fear of mine. And even these like
To be seen, right?
millionaires,
Yeah.
right? Like some of the people I'm working with, like, you know, the bigger the bankroll, the bigger the ego.
Yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
times, and then the bigger the fears that
Yeah.
come with that because they care so much about their appearance.
Yes.
So it's really interesting because once you really start to let go of the fucks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
yeah, it's a
Zero
beautiful
fucks given.
thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And it comes across like that's what shows as the confidence, and that's what helps make whoever's watching or listening feel even more comfortable because they want that authenticity. Like, they don't want the canned.
Yeah. And I saw a social media person and they were like, people want to hear what you have to say. Like, don't just say the political correct thing that you think. Like, people tune in and listen to other people because they want your perspective.
Right.
Yep.
Whether it's different or right, they just want to hear perspective. And why do you feel that perspective? And that's okay.
Well, that's like the beautiful thing about life. If people would get out of their own head, is like we all have different perspectives.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to sit down and listen to other people's experiences and the way they see things through their lens. Like, that's okay.
Yeah. We don't have to be
encouraged.
the same.
Well, that's the thing is I feel like as a society, we're getting away from embracing that.
Yes.
And that's a dangerous thing, right?
Totally.
When we're all like, okay.
Conformity.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's unique and beautiful in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we should be celebrated for who we are.
For sure.
Yeah. So is nonprofit been fulfilling?
It has been.
That's
It's
awesome.
been very rewarding in ways that I didn't have the fulfillment in other aspects. I guess that's part of why I was seeking all the other like community work in addition to the career aspect.
Yeah.
Like, let me do this for the poetry community and for the Armenian community and for
So
my
all
PR
along
community.
you were kind of seeking this out, not knowing what you were seeking this life out.
So I never, ever, ever in my life thought I'd be working with kids. So that was the other thing. I think that's why when she also asked about the high school, I'm like, kids. Like, I
you
was
sure?
Like, I was in those work environments where they're like, you would get like chastised if they heard a kid in the background.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, there was no working from home. And if somebody was working from home and you heard a dog bark, like, this is all
like how
pre-COVID.
dare I know how dare
Yes.
they? Yes.
And I mean, I saw how parents were treated, and I understand why most of the folks I worked with in both of those major organizations, didn't end up becoming parents. And
Didn't fulfill that.
and it didn't. But when you put the career first for so long, and I think also generationally, like that's the other thing. Like a lot of people are having kids later and later and later, and I totally get that, understand that. And I was again groomed in that regard of like have your shit, have your ducks in a row, and like make sure you're in a decent place. And I think I ultimately have made the decisions that I've made based on my upbringing and my relationship with my parents, and as much love as I have for my late mother, she married her career, and she was not a mom. She was not there for my brother and I the way that she needed to be. And I say that now from a place of love.
And perspective, right?
And
like,
perspective.
Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, well, it wasn't like, and you are like that. I get that.
And I never wanted to become that.
Yeah.
So my brother ended up moving to Prague about a decade ago.
Oh, wow.
Got married and now has a small daughter, and a daughter my daughter's age, and spoiler alert, and a child on the way.
Oh
I don't know if I can say that yet, but
yeah.
And when I went to visit him back in 2016, I guess it was before I was pregnant and before I was divorced, but after I started my journey of doing something new every day, I had dinner with my now sister-in-law, and I remember she said, like, if you were to get pregnant, like, what do you think you would do? Like, would you step away from your career? Would you
How would that look? Yeah.
And I said, like, I'm not going to be our mom. Like and that's the thing that people didn't understand back then. And even I was on these boards serving on like the PR boards. And I remember after a board meeting one day, one of the board members looked at me and she was just like, why don't you just get a good nanny? Like, I don't understand what the big deal is.
Not crazy. I know.
And one of the guys on the board with me, he was Caribbean, and he was looking at me, and I know that we had very similar thoughts in terms of like how we want to show up as parents for our kids. And he's looking at me like, get a fucking nanny. And I'm like, no. Like,
I feel like our children are only small for so little. You have only 18 years with them. Like, so if you give that up, that's it. Like, you just missed out on so many beautiful parts of life.
And the baby time. Like, I couldn't imagine someone else raising me.
No.
And that's the thing. It would have been a stranger. I didn't have family. I didn't have
how would you get to know your child?
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I talked to my financial advisor, and she's like, Meredith, you could easily just take off a year and
enjoy motherhood.
Okay.
Done.
So,
and especially after everything you had been through, it's like, take that year, embrace motherhood.
And even though I don't have like the family support in the area, I do still have family here. Like, people thought that I came out to have family support, but I did want to be close to my grandma who passed a few years ago, but at least I had that time with her. And again, the intuition, something said, no, like, be close to her.
Like,
be
move.
Closer to,
yes.
And the beach, I've always found the beach to be very healing. I grew up in a beach town. And
I mean, Asbury Park's very unique and amazing. And so is Red Bank.
Yep.
And that's cool that you're in both worlds.
I felt like, growing up in Manasquan.
Yeah, which is a great place to grow
up.
I was there.
So beautiful.
I didn't love it so much, but I appreciate it now.
Yeah, of course. At the time when you're a kid, you're like, ah.
And I felt like if Manasquan and Philadelphia were to procreate and have a miracle love child, it would be Asbury Park.
That is so true, right?
I've got the
a
best
city
of
by the sea.
Yes. And so the things I love about the city, I still have. I still have the restaurants and the culture and the diversity.
Yes.
And
that's what I love about Asbury.
Yes.
Me too. Because I lived in Jersey City for a long time before moving down here, and that's I was like, oh, restaurants.
Yeah.
Not Applebee's. No.
Yeah. The culture. Yeah.
And the city will always be there, right?
Yes,
and
for
the people who I'm meant to still remain in touch with, they haven't been strangers.
Yeah.
And, and that's the beautiful thing is you can continue to connect. So I found the beach very healing, and I said I need to be.
It felt like home.
Yes.
Yeah. And how was it working with the high school kids?
Oh, it's amazing.
Good.
I didn't know what I was signing up for, in a sense. And it's cool because some of my favorite students are getting ready to graduate in a couple months. We just took them to Monmouth University for Toni Morrison Day recently, and that was a lot of fun. And some of them said, this is my first time ever on a college campus. I've never been to a university before, and it's right here. And it's
I know. It's not that far. It's 15, 20 minutes away.
But again, just showing people
different part of life
and what could be possible and what's right here. You're only a few minutes away from home.
And what you said, nobody showed you writing when you were younger. Right. So the fact that you get to show these kids possibilities.
I want to show them everything. We just took them to ABC, to Asbury Book Co-op, and they were very warm and welcoming. They're like, let's give you guys memberships and get you in here. And they mean it because a lot of the high school students don't feel welcome downtown Asbury. They don't feel welcome
in their own town,
in their own town, on the own beach.
I know.
Yep.
And there are people, and there's valid reasons. Yes. I've heard people, act like they're not allowed to be there.
Yeah.
And these are people
which is so sad.
Who've been there for generations.
I know. Grew up here.
Yeah.
Yes. Been here. You're new.
Yeah, and this is their home. Yeah.
And Asbury Park also is where my great-grandmas lived when I was born. And my grandpa was the city planner engineer.
Oh my God, so you really have history.
And so I had his sister, my great-aunt, was a second-grade teacher in Bradley School, and I had a cousin who went to the high school. So I feel, even though only one of them is still living, I feel closer to my ancestors being there.
100%.
Just walking on the boardwalk by Asbury Tower. That's where my great-grandmas lived. And just saying hi to them.
That's amazing.
Walking out in the jetty. My grandpa was the engineer who designed that L-shaped jetty that helped to save Convention Hall. So, those things make me feel closer to... And now it's again, yes, I've lost these people in a way, but I'd like to look at it as I've got more angels on my side.
Oh,
and look at what you're doing for the community in Asbury.
You're really kind of following in their footsteps, right?
I'm sure they're rooting you on. Thank you for getting involved and, being a part of the community again. And that's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good. That's the fulfillment that I don't think I ever had in the other, even when I did community work, when I was in that other life, it was just different because, I either wasn't living, when I was working in Delaware or in South Jersey, I wasn't living in those communities, and it's different, to actually live and work
in the service of community. That's your neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's home.
The library, I'm not far from the library. That's the library my daughter and I go to, and now I'm doing a journaling club there with middle schoolers. In 2 hours, I'm going to be with Asbury Park middle schoolers at Brookdale's campus doing a Gear Up program. And it's funny because now I went from being a kid, I didn't have time with kids. My whole life was professional, and there weren't a lot of. I don't know. I just didn't have kids in my life. And
you didn't know you needed them.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
Yes, and now I tell them I prefer to be around you all versus many adults.
And the children are our future.
They are.
And we have to
can we yell that louder for
I
everyone to hear? The children are our future.
Literally.
So nurture them, love them, give them everything they need. Please.
Embrace it. Yes.
And especially, I feel in Asbury Park, first of all, I've always loved underdogs. My whole life, I'm the person who likes to cheer for the underdogs.
Yep.
I'm ethnically Armenian, that I feel has something to do with it, coming from descendants of genocide survivors in a very small community that's been under attack for thousands of years. Yep. All of that.
And being a woman in corporate.
Being a woman, yes.
Yeah.
And a young woman, and an ethnic woman, all of these different things have all played roles in that. And one of the reasons I love working at Asbury Park in particular is I feel the students are underdogs.
Yes.
I know what you mean.
There's a lot of people who don't believe in them. There's a lot of people who might not necessarily want them there. There's talks of closing the high school. There's all kinds of stuff, and the students didn't even know it. I'm do you even know this is going on? No idea.
I know.
And I'm like, do you know how this would impact you? Like, do you know that you have a voice and you can use it? Do you know that you have your own stories and your stories matter?
Yes.
And that there are people who care about you.
And you can make an impact.
Yeah.
And do you know that? Yeah.
And it's been really powerful. Some of the students I first started working with, like, they might have had their head down. Like, one in particular never talked. I didn't even think he knew my name. And he's one of the students who came to Toni Morrison Day this year.
Wow.
He's like, oh, Miss Meredith's going to be there. And I'm like...
It's like, you like me?
Right. I'm like, the kid who sat in the back and didn't talk.
But they listen. They're paying attention.
And they still learn. You still learn through osmosis, right? Like, just by being there and by hearing and by seeing people show up. And, and the actions also speaking louder than words. But I feel like... to be able to showcase and highlight the words of some of these students. They didn't just go to Toni Morrison Day. 3 of them actually performed unique original poems.
They got up
in front of the keynote speaker, in front of the professors, in front of the students.
That's the confidence they're getting, like the life skills. That's a beautiful thing. That's amazing.
And that's the rewarding part where I'm like, okay, like, yes, on the corporate side of it, I could have been writing a check for $10,000 to give to this nonprofit, but to be in the nonprofit,
but you're actually
on the ground, and then seeing the difference that makes too, and like the $10,000 can go a long way when doing these programs in terms of the impact, so it's also very rewarding to my soul in ways that the money that I had in the other life couldn't have
fulfilled. Take the leap.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Anybody who's out there considering it, like, and I can't tell you how many people saw it for me before I saw it for myself.
Oh, so true.
They're like, why are you still dealing with this bullshit? Like, why are you dealing with? Because I always had adversity. Like, I always had. I don't want to say always. I always had adversity, but I had been in roles where I've had bosses who have been jealous and tried to undermine me, or coworkers who tried to, even when I, was pregnant and stuff, and things that I look back like, oh my gosh, like that was so,
Why
and it was
did
toxic,
I deal with this?
and I'm like, and that really is what it comes down to,
Yeah.
and I'm like, why did I, like, what the toxic environments, people, behaviors, patterns, all of that I put up with changed when my daughter was born, and I'm like, if I wouldn't want her to have it, and that's when I'm like, wow, she's little you, like, she's little Meredith, you need to love her and pour into her the way that you deserved and didn't have,
but you forgot you deserved it.
And that's part of, like, the unconditional, where it's like I come back to how my great grandfather ended his autobiography. He was a genocide survivor, and I have a photocopy of the handwritten document he wrote, documenting as far back as he knows as our family's history, which is, like, pretty amazing. And I didn't know that it was a scripture at the time I read it, but it's Matthew 16:26, for what is a man profited if he should gain his whole world but lose his soul, or what shall he gain in exchange for his soul? And that's where I'm like, well, that's the heart and soul right there. Is like, my soul is not for sale.
Yes, exactly.
So true.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my God. And Project Right Now. So is that a different?
So projectrightnow.org, if anyone is interested in checking out our programming.
I love
we got
that.
going on. We're all over social media too. And we have got a lot
And they
coming
can get
up.
involved, right? Like, if anybody feels inspired.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And they can reach out.
And I hope this inspires other people. Like, obviously, if you're not in Asbury, New Jersey, but wherever you're listening, like, you should, like, be connected to your community. I hope it inspires other people to be connected.
Absolutely.
Because that's a beautiful thing when you give back. And
it is.
Yeah.
Like, I mentor a high school student in Red Bank, and it's literally one of the most fulfilling things.
So beautiful, right?
I get to do. It's great.
It's funny because, so, like, something as little as this, like, my kids, I remember thinking about being in the PTA. I'm like, oh, PTA, like,
Yeah.
But for some reason, I think you told me, Sue, you were joining the PTA. I was like, you know what, I should join it. And just being with them in the classroom, getting, like, I just really do enjoy it.
It's so
like,
fun.
I didn't, see, like, the kids, like, I don't
like, sometimes I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But, like, really, when you're around them, you're like, oh my God, you guys are so cute.
Yes.
You know, like, little
and I
souls.
think those little ripple effects matter for them long term because, like, oh, you care, you're listening to me, you're showing me something different. Like, you don't even realize the impact you have on them.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're not their parent because, like, obviously kids are tired of being with their mom or dad, but when they hear from another adult, like, that they can look up to, it's so beautiful.
And that's why I'm like, I'm not here to teach them where to put a punctuation mark.
Yes,
or, you know what I
to
mean?
be your teacher and like write pen it all up.
So I tell them, we give them journals and pens, and I say, I will not grade this. I am not here to judge you for this. I'm not here to collect this. Like, this is a gift. And if you that's really...
I'm your like comfort zone, your free space.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Right.
And that's what it's about. How many people even pick up a pen anymore?
I know.
Like, even adults.
Yes.
Like, how many of
Handwriting.
us...
Right.
Right. And
They don't even
there's
teach script anymore.
benefits to that too. Like there's parts of your brains that are accessed when you are writing with your hand that are not accessed when you're typing.
Yeah, no,
So true. I mean, Meredith
sense.
gave us this beautiful gift of this journal, and
Yes.
I'm going to do what you said, the challenge. I'm going to get up in the morning and journal.
I'm going to do the same thing.
And I challenge everyone to do that too. I feel like it will set the tone for your day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it could be whatever you want it to be. A stream of consciousness is usually what I do. I pray every morning and pull a card, and like I might ask a question, just ask for the word or message of the day, and then I start with that. And I also encourage you to think about not like to-do list, because I feel like we automatically just get in that mode. But starting with a prompt like, how do you want to feel today?
Oh,
I love that.
Right?
like
Because
that.
that shifts a little.
Yes.
How do you want to feel? And then you say joy. Well, what? Then you start thinking, what's something that brings me joy?
Right.
Yes.
Can I eat something for lunch that lights me up?
Yeah.
Or do I sit by the ocean on lunch break?
Right.
Or
Do I walk by the beach? Yeah, something.
right?
Yeah.
Do I have a random act of kindness
Yes.
that and
So
that's
true.
how I also get some of the ideas for the first during that time as well. But think about how you want to feel, and maybe you don't want to feel. Maybe I want to feel sad today. Like let me sit in my
and that's
feelings.
okay.
And that's okay too.
So true.
But having the awareness of
Yes.
that and being like, okay, well, if I want to feel this way, what do I have to do to allow the time and space to experience that?
Yeah. So beautiful. Writing is powerful. Thank
It
you.
really is.
Yeah,
thank
you
you so
so
much
much.
for coming
Thank you
on and
both.
sharing your story.
Thank you
like,
so much.
Yeah.
so incredible and inspiring.
I know,
Your
and
daughter's
hope-
very lucky.
Yeah, I hope it inspires others who are going through difficult times. Like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Just keep
Amen.
pushing forward. So
That's right.
All right, guys. We
Thank
will
you.
see you next week.
Yes, thank you for
joining.
listening.
Here is a special poem that our guest Meredith wrote called 13 Years. Take a listen and hope you enjoy.
13 years. 13 years of wearing suits every day, blazers, pumps, and pearls. 13 years of wearing my hair back or getting it straightened so it wasn't appearing to be too wild, untamed, or tempting. 13 years of taking out my nose ring, hiding all piercings other than the ones that were permitted in my ears. Yes, I said permitted. It's called a dress code after all. 13 years of feeling like I was wearing a costume, although they say I wore it well. It felt like I was wearing someone else's life. Felt like I was supposed to be somebody else's wife. 13 years was I living a lie, still an insider's eye at how to get by and along with those closer to the top of the pyramid, but what's to gain versus what's to lose? 13 years of a solid, steady, successful salary just to be called exempt, have the seeming security of health insurance while ironically living an unhealthy work lifestyle to obtain it. 13 years of hellish commutes, thousands of dollars spent for fuel, tolls, and subway fare doesn't seem fair or balanced. I can see that now, years after the 13 years. My soul needs to be free. It is not for sale. No prestigious private jets can take me away from there where my spirit soars high. See, here's the thing you cannot see is all of my ancestors at my feet, rooting and holding it down for me. So don't be surprised by my stretch. It's a humble flex. Grateful to live authentically by my own degree. Traded the pumps and pearls for flip-flops and crystals, wearing my mane proudly now. I see why it was such a threat. I refuse to whitewash the ways that God loves me best. 13 years of corporate slaves still have the marks from the golden chains, cupped to the false promises and realities. Carrots dangled just in front of me right in time it seemed to keep the years passing by. Many, many, many moons ignoring my intuition and womb, so easily consumed by the dreams in life I knew, when titles and levels suited egos and bankrolls. Importance in society, socioeconomic status, and class matters so much then. Now I pass at the cash and laugh because authenticity, flexibility, and peace are priceless for me, as well as my greatest priority, Little Miss Melody. 13 years in my prime, that's a lot of time, but I have no regrets. Just know that's all they'll ever get.